with you one example, and then hopefully while you're playing around with it, I'll get this screencast video uploaded, and then you can see it on a screen as well. Okay? So on the stream, if you scroll down, the first one is just the announcement that we're going to be doing peer review and revision tomorrow. Then the second one is where you actually submit your figure and your legend. And you can see a fair amount of folks were able to get it done in class. And then the third one is actually the instructions for the classwork. Okay, so what you're going to launch first is the Google Sheet that says CDC Health Data Interactive. And within that sheet, I created it to help direct you to which portion of the website to launch. It's a huge database that has a bunch of different reports from the federal government. So what was your condition and what was the discrepancy you were interested in? Okay, so epilepsy sadly was one of the trickier ones today because it isn't a super common diagnosis. So your other group members ended up going with some of the risk factors, specifically drug and alcohol abuse, to generate their graphs. What you could do, all right, for this sample one, I'll generate a graph just for cancer so that it has a sample, and you can try and follow along with me, but I don't know if your computer speed will let it work, but we'll try. So when you look at this table, depending on what you were interested in, for some of them, if you were interested in poverty, or whether somebody lived in a particular part of the country, or whether they lived in the city or in the country, not all of these data files, not each row is able to answer all those questions. So you can see there's different fields. So to do a sample one, I'm going back to the stream. I'm going to launch the Data Access Health Data Interactive homepage. And that launches this large website from the CDC that has those 7 topics which correspond to the first column in that Google Sheet I created for you guys. So for cancer, I'm going to click on mortality and life expectancy because cancer is a leading cause of death in the United States. And then within that, there were 6 basically files within that report. And I'm going to select mortality by underlying cause, ages 18 and over. And what you're going to do is customize the data table and then build a graph from it. So this has all causes of death. So I'm going to click on the underscore cause of death, and I'm going to click on the little tiny X at the top, clear all, because we don't want to look at all causes of death. We just want to look at an example. So we'll look at stomach cancer. So you click on stomach. So to clear all, up at the very, you've clicked on cause of death, so in the screen you see all that list of all the causes of death. At the top above the box, there's a small check mark and a small X in blue. If you click the clear all, which is the small X in blue, it'll take away all causes of death, so nothing is selected, and then you want to select the one you're interested in. Okay, so I checked stomach cancer. So if I was interested in differences in gender for stomach cancer, I would then need to click on the sex underscored piece, and I would deselect the all box. Otherwise, you're going to have 3 columns in your data, whereas you really only need to, you would see an average column and you would see male and female. In all of these tables, if you get rid of the all, you'll get rid of that average bar and it kind of cleans up the graph. Okay, then we can look at it by age, and that has all ages. So you want to have one column and one row to make a graph. And to move them, you hover to the right of the underlined name and you get kind of a four-pointed arrow. To the right of the title where it says cause of death or year or measure or sex, and you get an arrow that has 4 points on it. If you hover over one of the titles. And if you select one of those rows, it'll go yellow if you're hovering in that area. And you can drag and drop to put into the column in the row the one for each that you're most interested in. So if I wanted to get rid of cause of death because they're all dying from stomach cancer, I would drag it down to other and keep holding it and try and get it so that it's a half yellow row that's highlighted to drop it in, because if you drop it right on top of another one, it just swaps it out. So if, for example, I swapped out age with sex, so I'm going to see the graph for gender and age. So if I click on the Show Table button on the very near the top, you've got a table with data, and then now you have tabs that say Report, Table, and Chart. Click on Chart, and you have a little tiny graph. Click on it once, and now you've got a big graph. And it shows that it looks like there is a discrepancy between genders. Stomach cancer is more common in men than in women. And the older you are, the greater risk you have for getting stomach cancer. Okay? So then you can further modify and refine it. If you wanted to go back, you would click on Table and then just click on any of the underlined titles. And it takes you back to being able to manipulate the table that builds the graph. Okay? So knowing going in that epilepsy is a challenge, your partner's looked at alcohol and drug abuse. You could look at access of health care. Not many folks have done that because that's a general question. Let's look at the CDC piece here. I'm not sure if hospitalizations for children have anything that might fall under that. I'm okay if you generate a graph for general society stuff if you wanted to, and you'd be kind of the only one in the class or in any of the classes that could do that, but you're not here. So just if you want to tease apart access issues related to life expectancy, perhaps related to gender or income or race or where people live, you could create a graph with that and a legend, and that could serve as an introduction where you talk about the other pieces. So on the website, what you're doing is bringing this graph in and tying it into your questions. Okay, so if on the rubric and on the graph it was singular question, so you can choose your best question that correlates with your topic and your interest. For you may want to go with your initial one to see if you can generate a graph that addresses that, and you could just post that one. Okay? Oh, you're welcome. I hope you get feeling better. Okay, bye-bye.